So we finally hit a new month. We're at the beginning of February, and this would be the time in the NBA where All-Star buzz would start to heat up. But obviously we're not in normal circumstances. There's no guarantee that there will be a All-Star game, and there's probably not going to be a dunk contest, a three-point contest, skills thing, Rising Stars challenge, yada yada yada. But there still are going to be All-Star selections. They might just be honorary, just to notice them for the year. So I think this is a good time to kind of give out my early All-Star game predictions or All-Star selections for both conferences. I might split the video up into Eastern and Western depending on the length of it. Without further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to start in the Eastern Conference. In the backcourt, I have one starting spot going to James Harden. He's been balling out. He hasn't been scoring as much as he has basically in all of his time in Houston, but he's had to play with KD, and KD's been balling out, but we'll get to him. But James Harden's really taking on the role as facilitator. With the James Harden trade, the Nets lost two main contributors on the offensive end in Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. So James Harden has kind of been the guy to facilitate for the lesser offensive options that remain in this Nets rotation. Your Joe Harris's, your Luwawu Cabarros, your DeAndre Jordans, your Bruce Browns. James Harden has really been doing a good job of setting up those guys to give them easy looks, whether it be wide open layups or catch and shoot threes in the corner, on the wing, yada yada yada. And he's also set up Kevin Durant for a lot of easy looks on the perimeter as well. He's leading the league in assists, and for the simple reason that it's James Harden, I think he is warranting of a starting spot. The next backcourt spot goes to Jaylen Brown, averaging 27 points, 5 rebounds, 3.5 assists on 53% from the field and 44% from 3. Another major improvement of a year for Jaylen Brown. I'm going to say it, he's been the Celtics' best player this year for the simple fact that he's been available the most out of their star players of Kemba, Tatum, and Jaylen, of course. Tatum has had to deal with COVID protocols. Kemba Walker was out for most of the season. Jaylen Brown's been the main constant for the Celtics, and he's really carried their offense for the most of the season. He's scoring 27 points per game extremely efficiently. Hopefully he can shoot a bit better from the free throw line, and he's still providing elite defense on the other side of the ball. Jaylen Brown's really kept the Celtics afloat at the 4 seed, so for that reason I gotta reward him with a starting spot. Going into the front court starting positions for the Eastern Conference, one of them goes to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has been the best player on the Brooklyn Nets this year. He's basically been himself before the injury. There's a lot of conversation as to would he be his same Kevin Durant self after the Achilles tear. You can argue he's been even better, averaging 31 points per game on 52% from the field and 45% from 3. That's insane efficiency. He's really improved as a playmaker. He's always been an underrated playmaker for being the lethal scorer that he is, but he's really shown his ability to make plays for his lesser Brooklyn Nets teammates that need scoring created for them. Kevin Durant was my preseason pick to win the MVP, and he's definitely playing in MVP form. The next front court spot goes to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis is still a top 5 player in the league. He hasn't really dropped off from last year. He's putting up similar numbers to last year. I don't think he's been as good defensively, but on offense he's pretty much been the same type of dude. I know the Bucks aren't playing up to their standards. They're used to being around the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference comfortably. They're at the 3 seed right now. But for the simple fact that Giannis is Giannis, I think this is a no-brainer. He gets the second starting spot in the front court for the Eastern Conference. And the final starting spot in the front court for the East goes to Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid has been the definitive MVP candidate leading that race this season thus far. Joel Embiid has been unstoppable in the post, completely unstoppable one-on-one, basically been the best offensive player in the entire league thus far, commanding a double team basically every time he gets the ball in the post, and that creates a lot of ball movement, man movement, and open shots for his Philadelphia teammates, and that has thrusted them into the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, giving them a 2.5 lead over the Nets. Joel Embiid, he's been the MVP thus far, definitely deserving of a starting nod. Now we move on to reserves in the Eastern Conference. We're going to start out with the 3 front court spots. I have them going to Jason Tatum, Domantas Sabonis, and Julius Randle. Jason Tatum's been basically as good as Jaylen Brown, but he just hasn't played as much as Jaylen Brown, so that's why Tatum's in the reserves as of right now. He's putting up 27.7 rebounds for assists very efficiently, so he's definitely deserving of an all-star spot. Domantas Sabonis has been playing at another level. He's definitively the best player on the Pacers, and he's carrying them to their 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, averaging 21, 12, and 6 assists, one of the best passing bigs in our league. One of the biggest reasons why the Pacers are seeing early season success. And then Julius Randle has been a revelation for the Knicks. We've always known that he's had the ability to be an inside scoring behemoth, averaging 22 points per game, a lot of that coming around the rim. But he shot the best from three-point land in his entire career, shooting 37.5% from there. He's averaging a career high in rebounds at 11 per game, and he's averaging a career high in assists at 6 assists per game. He's basically turned into the Knicks' point forward, orchestrating a lot of their offense from the elbow, hitting off-ball cuts, pushing the ball in the fast break, and hitting the open man there. Moving on to the 2 backcourt spots, I have them going to Bradley Beal and Trae Young. Bradley Beal's averaging 35 points per game. For that simple reason, he should be an all-star starter, but I'm not gonna give an all-star starting nod to somebody on a team who is worse than the Eastern Conference. Literally the 15th seed, they might be the worst in the entire league. But he's leading the league in scoring, averaging a ridiculous 35 points per game. For that sole reason, he deserves an all-star spot. He deserved a spot last year, having similar scoring production to last year, but for some reason they didn't give it to him, but he definitely has to get one now. Defensively, it's been the same old Bradley Beal, average to below average on that end, and that's translated to the Washington Wizards team defense as a whole, but offensively, he's kind of carrying them along with Russell Westbrook. But come on, if you're leading the league in scoring at a ridiculous 35 points per game, you're definitely deserving of an all-star spot. And then Trae Young, I think this is quite a no-brainer as well. 27 and 8. He hasn't had the most efficient season thus far, only 42% from the field and 37% from 3. But his combination of scoring and playmaking and limitless range, he's the best player on the Hawks. They have the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, and he's just an insane player, and he's definitely deserving of an all-star spot. Similar to Bradley Beal, a below-average defender, probably one of the worst perimeter defenders in the league, but he is one of the most lethal options on offense, so for that reason, he gets an all-star spot as well. And now we have 2 wildcard spots. So some all-star caliber players that I haven't named yet that are eligible for these 2 spots, in my opinion, are Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Chris Middleton, Colin Sexton, Nikola Vucevic, Zach LaVine, Malcolm Brogdon, and Russell Westbrook. Those are 8 names that are definitely worthy of an all-star consideration, but there are only 2 spots available, so there will be 6 definitive all-star snubs in the Eastern Conference. One all-star spot I have going to Chris Middleton. He's averaging 21 points, 6.5 rebounds, 6 assists on 51, 44, 93 splits. 50, 40, 90 definitively. He didn't get it last year, but as of right now, he's averaging that. He's been Mr. Consistent. This has basically been his stat line for the past 4 years. He's been the Robin to Giannis's Batman. I don't think this is a different year where we don't reward Chris Middleton for that. He's been consistent, one of the most efficient sources of offense in the entire league. He's good on the defensive end, and the Milwaukee Bucks are 3rd in the Eastern Conference, so I think their 2nd best player is definitely deserving of an all-star spot. And the final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference for the all-star appearance or all-star selection for me is going to Zach LaVine. Yes, Zach LaVine, one of the poster boys for the quote-unquote empty stats narrative. He's been a definitive bucket for the past 3 years, averaging upwards of 23 points per game. This season, he's averaging a career high of 26.9 points per game, and he's also averaging a career high of 5 assists per game. Not only has his counting numbers gone up, but also his efficiency has gone up, scoring at a rate of 51% from the field and 41% from 3. In my opinion, Zach LaVine was snubbed from the All-Star game last year, and I think he's still, if not even more, deserving of it this year. So now the notable snubs from the Eastern Conference team: Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Colin Sexton, Nikola Vucevic, Malcolm Brogdon, and Russell Westbrook. For Kyrie, I think 2 factors go into this snub. He just hasn't played enough games, and there's already 2 All-Stars on his team. So I think those 2 factors combined will leave him out of the All-Star game. I wouldn't be mad if you selected Kyrie over Zach LaVine or Kyrie over Middleton, but personally, I'm not going to vote him for it. The next snub is Gordon Hayward, who's having a really great year, and it's been pretty slept on. Averaging 23 points per game, a career high, 50% from the field and 43% from three, which are also career highs. This is arguably the best year of his career, and he's really leading this young Charlotte Hornets team devoid of a lot of experience and a lot of talent. They have young talent, but not a lot of asserted, set-in-stone talent. He's really leading them to a lot of team success, a lot more team success than I thought they'd have at this point of the year. He's got them as the 8th seed currently. They're definitely going to be in the playoff race for the remainder of the year, and Gordon Hayward's the best player on this playoff caliber team. I think he's definitely deserving of All-Star consideration, but the East is a bit more competitive in terms of All-Star appearances this year. And if you had him over Zach LaVine or Chris Middleton, I wouldn't be mad at that either. Colin Sexton, the young bull, he's having a great year, a great scoring year, 24 points very efficiently. He's one of the best young scorers. I think he's deserving of an All-Star spot, but I have more people above him. But he'll be an All-Star at some point of his career. He's still really young, so don't feel bad about Colin Sexton. Vucevic is having a great year, 23 and 11, shooting very great from three-point land. But I don't think he's more worthy of an All-Star game over Zach LaVine, Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, Middleton, those guys. Brogdon is also having a great year, scoring 23 points very efficiently, facilitating at one of the best marks in the NBA, but I don't think the Pacers are deserving of 2 All-Star spots, especially with the other guys that I have above Brogdon. And then Russell Westbrook, he's averaging nearly a 21-point triple-double, so it seems kind of insane to leave him out the All-Star game, but he hasn't really scored the ball at the rim or from the field in general at the same level that we're accustomed to seeing, and the Wizards are definitely not good enough to have 2 All-Stars. They're worse than the entire Eastern Conference, so I don't think they're deserving of 2 All-Stars. So those are my Eastern Conference selections. Comment down below what you guys think of them. If you agree or disagree, just know, again, this is my opinion. Don't get butthurt about it. I'm not going to be mad if you have different selections. Just don't take it personal, alright?
That new wave I was on like last week.